fixed, right? Okay, let's move on. Right, so we've moved on to these mini projects now. I didn't answer question 5. I'm going to let you do that yourself. And in these, what these kind of mini projects are all about is taking what we've just done and learning about functions and files, and start to incorporate the previous stuff we've done, where we might be doing some analysis on a string or some data, and combining all that to start really doing some useful things. So question 6, we're going to create a DNA file analyzer, and we're going to write a function called analyze DNA file that reads in a sequence. It's going to calculate the GC content, which we've done before, and it's also going to output a kind of summary report containing the values that we've got. Okay, so let's have a think about that. First of all, I've created a dummy DNA text file. Okay, so I'll put that on canvas as well. I'm going to create a new file called Q6, and what am I trying to do here? Write a function that generates a report that analyzes that report that analyzes a DNA string sequence, and write a function. Come on, Rob, brain. Function that analyzes a DNA sequence and produces a report. Okay, right. So first thing I'm going to do is def. And what was the function I've suggested we call it? Analyze DNA file. Analyze DNA file. And I am going to give it a single parameter, which will be the file name that I want to do the analysis on. I might actually give it a second parameter, which will allow me to specify the name of the output file, which is sometimes sensible because I've probably run this multiple times and I want different file names for each. Okay, so the first thing, let me put a doc string in here. I didn't do this last time, but this function will read in a DNA string from a text file. And you'll notice the good thing about these triple quotes here is I can have multiple lines without having to use multiple hash symbols. So I could actually have done something a bit more glamorous like this. This function will read in a DNA, perform a GC analysis, and output a summary .text file. Okay, so that's why I'm using the doc strings really in these functions, because I can be a bit more descriptive than I can with a general comment. Right, so the first thing we need to do here is read the file. Now we've done this twice already, so this should come as no surprise. With open file name, and we are going to open it only to read, and I'm going to open it as F. And so I'm going to create a new variable called sequence, or seek for short, that'll do. And I'm going to use f.read. Now I'm not going to use read lines this time, even though I know there are multiple lines in the file. And that's because, let me take a look at the DNA. Here's the file. So yes, there are over multiple lines. I can see there's a few spaces, lots of spaces actually. I'm going to have to worry about that in a second. And what you can't actually see here, because I'm in the file view here, is there will be a \n at the end of every line. And of course, I don't really want that to be read in with my string. So I'm going to strip those out. And I know that everything in this file is just the same sequence, so I don't need to worry about multiple lines. So I'm just going to use that f dot read commands, but I'm going to hit it with a couple of additional methods just to tie it up a bit. So I'm going to use replace to begin with, and I want to replace all of the \n characters with an empty string, actually a nothing string. And I also don't like those spaces. I'm going to get rid of that as well. Dot replace space character with nothing. And actually, we can always check our sanity. Remember, if we return seek and then print analyze DNA. Dan. DNA.text. Okay, so this should just spit out that DNA. Oh, I've got an error. Okay, missing. I didn't specify the output file, so I don't actually need to specify the output file yet, but I'm going to put it in there. No such file or directory. DNA text. What's that happened there? I know what's happened here. I'm running this, and look where my command line is. I'm just in the 733 folder, but I'm running this, and previously that would have worked, but now I'm trying to access a file in the Week4 folder. So that's a bit silly, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cd into the Week4 folder. Okay, now I'm in the right location to run this file. There we go, we got there. So instead of multiple lines, I've got a big sequence now with no spaces in. Okay, fantastic. So now I can start my analysis. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that print statement and my return. I'm going to do all of this in the function. So I've already opened the file, so I can bring it back over. I've read it to that sequence. What am I trying to do now? Let me think. Okay, we want to do a GC analysis. So I'm going to create a variable called gcount, and that's going to be seek.count. Actually, that's a good point. So these are all capitals, so I need to make sure. I'm also going to hit this with an upper at the end there, just to make sure it's all capitalized. And I want a G there. Oops. And then I want a C count. And then I want to calculate that GC ratio. GC ratio equals, or GC percentage, I'll call it percentage. Can't multiply it by 100. That is going to be, let me think about this, G count plus C count. Whoops. I nearly spelled a very rude word then. Okay. Divided by the length of the sequence. And I need to times all of that by 100 to get it as a percentage. And let me just, again, do a sanity check here. GC percentage to make sure it's working. Okay, I'm going to call analyze Okay, let's make sure it's working. Yep, it's calculated roughly 50%, which I know is about right. So, what do I need to do now? I want to generate that report. So, instead of printing this out, let's let's create this report. What I've been very bad at here is count G and C, calculate GC percentage, and now I'm going to have a final one which is called generate report. Okay, so I'm actually going to use another with statement here, and I'm going to open up a new file, which is of course going to be my output file, and I'm going to output that to write this time. So you can see within this function I'm both reading and writing as okay, I'm going to be clear. That'll do. I'm gonna make sure I use a different variable name to f here, and it would work, but I'm going to avoid confusing myself. So I'm going to call it out. So all I want to do here is output the GC percentage, right? So that's just an F string. So I can do out.write. You'll see I've used that file object there now, and not F. Don't write it to F, okay? You'll be overwriting a string. Out.write, and I'm going to call it an F string. Actually, for now, yeah, that's right, F string. And I'm going to have GC percentage. And at the end of that, I'm going to use my GC percentage. Close that. Right, so now when I run this, I should see a file called output.txt being generated in my week 4 folder. Let's run it. Looks good. There's my output, and there's my summary there. Okay, fantastic. Now, a part of this exercise was to use ChatGPT to smarten that report up a bit. So let's do this as an exercise, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my function, which is pretty good, and I'm going to head on over to ChatGPT, which I've got. Okay, so here's my ChatGPT. You'll notice I've got the paid version. You don't need to have the paid version to use this. I'm going to paste my code in and say, can you help me improve the output report that this function generates? Yeah, let's see what happens if I do that. Okay, so it's given me my function back. Let's have a look at this. So it's kept this the same. It's given me some error handling, which is quite nice. So if for whatever reason it doesn't feel it, or if it's empty, it will give me an error. That's what this does. I will ignore that for now. I don't really need that. It's going to check whether there are valid bases. That's something I didn't do that you might want to do. And it will raise an error if those are in there. And it's actually really it's counted all of my bases, and it's generated a pretty epic report at the end here. So this is kind of the bit that I want. I'm going to ignore the error trapping to begin with, but I am going to see if I can improve my report. Otherwise, I think oh, the last thing it's got at the bottom there, it's got a print statement just to say it's been output. So I think I'll put that back in as well. Let's have a go. Let's take this and let's update. Is that in there? Yeah. Let's update this bit. Put that in there. I'll probably have to smarten my lines up. Oh no, it's done a good job of that. Okay, so let's just look what it's doing. It's counting the nucleotides, computing the metrics for the GC percentage. And here's my report. Let's go through this. So it's got a nice little F string at the top saying it's a DNA sequence analysis report, telling me the file name, the sequence length, A count, T, and then it's got all of that in there. And it also says the date generated, but it doesn't give me the date generated. So I would actually like a date. So how do I do that? Let me just go back to ChatGPT and say, how do I generate a auto date? Okay, so it's doing that for me. So I need to import the date time module to do that, and it's creating a string, date string. Where's that going to be in here? I don't know where that's going in. Date generated. Ah, there it is now. Okay, so it hasn't used the date string, has it? Oh yes, it has. Yeah. So I can see here that it's actually put this in here. So let's use that in here when I generate the report. Now equals datetime now, and I will put in now there. But I also need to remember to import datetime from datetime. Okay. From datetime import datetime. Okay, so that will allow me to get hold of that now function that's in there. Okay, let's run this and see what happens. Actually, I wanted to do one last thing, which was print a report has been generated at, and I'm going to put the output file name in there. Right, let's see what happens. Okay, here you are, it's giving me my output, and it should have overwritten my output.txt. It hasn't. What's happened? Let's have a look. Out.write. Because I didn't need this. I've created it and I've overwritten it again. So that's what this was doing. I need to actually put this in. So actually, I will bring it back quickly. And instead of having this string here, I need to update it with this report variable that I've created. Okay, let's try it again. Right, there you go. Nice. Oh, very nice. So that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Okay, that's the end of that question. I hope I've shown you how to really start thinking about using ChatGPT to do this. You'll notice I didn't copy didn't copy the code before I really understood it. It's really important you do read the code that it's generating before you start using it. There will be tears otherwise, I guarantee it, guys. So just make sure you understand the output that's coming from ChatGPT. If you don't understand it, you can ask ChatGPT, explain this line, please, for example. Okay, right, there we go.